We are entering a very big season for women's sports.
I just think that we need more women like you two fighting for the narrative that we are here telling every single day.
We are back with season 2. It's Lauren Deletsky.
And I'm Jackie G.
And this is the Clack podcast. Welcome back.
Yay.
We are doing this is the first episode of just Jack and Elle.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Culture episode 1, season 2.
See, I still, like, the whole season 2 thing is so wild to me. It's just, like, insane. But, Jackie, you have had an insane couple of months. Can you just, like, give people a little look into your brain of, like, what has happened the last 2 months?
Yeah, I mean, prior to my wedding weekend, I think I traveled for work 8 weekends in a row. So my life was just literally on an airplane on the go. But, like,
how many miles do you have?
I've accumulated some good miles.
Are you gonna take the Clackers team on a trip?
You know what? We'll see. We'll dive into that. All the travel, WNBA draft, Final Four, all the different big events, incredible. And then finally my wedding weekend, which Carla and I had worked so hard to prepare for that moment and put in so much energy and time and passion. And it was just literally the most incredible weekend of our lives. Not much went wrong. A very, very little went wrong, and a lot of people wouldn't even know. But I'm just so grateful. It went by so freaking fast. I kind of have the wedding blues. I'm not gonna lie.
It's very real.
Yeah.
I think all of us can relate to that.
Yeah, it was just such a high of a weekend, and I don't know if we'll ever have that many people in one room or in one place again, and that for me, it was just like, holy shit, I love every single person here, like everyone I have a story with, and it was magical.
I can second the magic. I was honored to be there as a guest, and I can tell you, I've always known both Jackie and Carla are such magnetic women. Just the way they are, how they operate here in Portland with their friend group, and getting to meet their larger concentric circles of people from family to friends, really just like cemented for me. Like, you two are living, breathing magnets. Like your friend Diana and I at the table, we were both like, we both talk about them as magnets. Like, it was kind of funny. That's what we connected
so
over. And just, it was glamorous, it was beautiful, it was humble, it was very authentic. Like, I feel like sometimes you go to weddings and it just feels like overly performative, and everything just had such a beautiful, natural, progression.
That's
and
so
it just
sweet.
felt like we were on, like, I went with my friend Natalie, and we say, she was my plus one, or I was her plus one, and we were both like, we feel like we're like in a movie right now.
Oh my gosh.
In this fabulous, like romantic movie. It was so beautiful. I'm so proud of you guys.
Thank you.
I know it was so much pressure and so much work, so much money, all the things.
Yeah.
But you guys you guys got the W on that wedding.
Thank you so much. That's so sweet. I think the greatest part of all of it is hearing what our guests, their experience, because we also did everything for the experience of our guests and wanting our guests to have an amazing time. So it's very rewarding hearing you say all those things, because we care about how you guys felt at our wedding, and we hope that you have nothing but great memories.
It was so many good memories. My only sad part was that Nick didn't come with me too, because it was so romantic, you guys. I was like, to my friend Natalie, I'm like, Nat, you better be careful. I might snuggle your ass tonight. And she's like, okay.
Yeah, you and Nat hit it off that weekend. I'm so happy you guys
so did.
were
it
just
was
together
so
the
much
whole time.
Fun. And just like so many of your other friends.
Yeah.
Also, have to say, it was kind of fun. I'm going to have a non-humble moment here to meet a few fans, from your community, people that really love our show and what we're building. And that was I've always been really uncomfortable with that kind of attention. I guess whatever, I'm putting my face out there. I have to get used to that shit. But it was so humbling to have these amazing people come up to me and be like, oh my God, I'm the biggest listener of your show.
Well, a lot of people there speak very freaking highly about you, and you don't even know it half the time. But yeah, no, you're someone that a lot of people wanted to meet. And
I loved it. I loved every second. I'm like, okay, let's exchange numbers, follow me on Instagram, let's chat. It was so much fun. But yeah, major kudos to you guys.
Thank
you. Now we're jumping back in, Jack.
We are full throttle.
We are freaking full throttle.
Going for it.
I had to give her some time because I'm like, okay, we have so much going on with Clack, but I want you to like come down from your wedding and like enjoy. She also has another job, of course. So it's like, she's a busy lady. I think we talk about this all the time, but we kind of want to introduce this, like we were laughing about calling this section the drip, because there's a constant drip of women's sports news every single day, whether it's a big game or not, like maybe it's just a weekend where there's not as much going on, but there's just like so many headlines. So we want to definitely just go through a few headlines every time we do these episodes and kind of provide a POV. Should we kick that off?
I think we should.
I think you really like the name The Drip, don't you?
I do. I want that to be the W team in
For Portland. We are literally manifesting
well,
that.
there's like 3 meanings to the drip. There's drip like swag, like that. There's drip coffee, and then it rains all the time in Portland, like a raindrop
Seriously,
drip.
so it just feels cool.
It does feel cool, and it's sharp, it's quick, it's 4 letters, like it's cool as fuck.
Okay, so let's introduce the drip. We are entering a very big season for women's sports. So is the WNBA tip-off is May 16th. Okay, May 16th is preseason right now. Well, when this episode airs, it's probably going to be past preseason, closer to the tip-off. We have the NWSL. We're in the season for the NWSL right now. We have softball, so Athletes Unlimited has their fast pitch softball league that's kicking off. Really excited. I played softball. We also have tackle football, flag football, and women's rugby.
Yep.
And women's rugby is actually, I believe, don't quote me, but I believe the only sport this summer that has a World Cup. So really excited, hoping to see Alona Mar play, other big players that we've been starting to follow. It is going to be an awesome summer for women's sports.
Yep.
My biggest challenge is that it is so hard to find where to watch all of these sports.
Yeah.
There is no one-stop shop for these sports. I know this has been talked about, even with Whoopi Goldberg's new platform. I think that's a vision, is to sort of like streamline a place where all of these sports are playing. Then you have innovators like what Jenny's done from the sports bra, and while it's not at scale yet, it's like you can come in and there's like sports on all over. But we hear that from a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like they want to watch these sports. It's just like, one, it's expensive to have 10 streaming networks.
Yeah.
And 2, sometimes it's just hard to find where to even find them in the streaming networks.
Right.
So we have a lot of work to do from an infrastructure perspective to figure out how to make it more of a one-stop shop.
Honestly, Lauren, we should be so happy that is like the problem that we're living in right now, because like 5-10 years ago, that wasn't even a thing. Like you couldn't even find games to watch, period. So the fact that we're like in a place right now where things are, you are able to watch everything, every sport, we just have to figure out like where that is and do a little bit of research to find that. It is available, and that is a step forward in the right direction.
Absolutely. So we did put a bit of an educational video up on our Instagram if anybody wants to go see it. And we have it pinned to the top that just talks about the 5 sports we covered and where to watch. Some of the standard networks, ESPN, ESPN obviously has ESPN Plus. YouTube TV is, I would say, one of the larger aggregators of a lot of these games, but YouTube TV is so expensive. It's like over $80 a month. That is a big investment for families, right? And so there's some other more cost-effective solutions like Sling, Fubo, and then there's a few that actually are streaming, like Victory Plus streams the WNFC games, that's free. So, just what I would say is Google can be your friend. Like, do your diligence, figure out the right places to invest for you. But this is also why it is so important to continue telling these stories in social media.
Yeah, for sure. And
that's how we're going to reach more people.
Yeah, and we're going to do our best too on Clack Social to provide, more information on where people can watch games and just certain things.
And a couple other brands that we love, because we love lifting other women's brands. It's not about competition in this space for us, truly. It's about how do we build a network of like always on media that can drive different fans, different things to different places, right? Together does a really good job of featuring. The Gist is one of my go-to for like women's sports schedules. Also the Sports Bra, if you don't follow them already, they do a really good job of, because that's their whole platform is just watch women's sports.
Right.
And so they do a really good job of showing and talking about all the games. But also the NWSL has a really great like navigation portal on their website where you can see all their matches, where to watch them, and if you're in other countries, where to watch them too. So it's just about, like use your resources to the best that you can, and also don't overwhelm yourself.
Yeah.
Because I know I've been overwhelmed a little bit because I'm like, oh, I want to watch all these games, but I'm like, 1, I don't have the time because I'm a mom, and 2, like I don't have all the networks, so it's like that's why social media for me is such an important place to be able to engage and learn and then really focus on the games that I want, need to invest that time in.
Yeah, and I think too, just like you're not gonna watch every women's sporting event across the board. So like you're gonna find the ones that you're really passionate about, and like you'll be on top of that. So,
And go to them physically.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so ready to go to a Thorns game. We have to go to one together.
yeah, for sure.
So moving on to the second one. So the women's USA Rugby held the first women's rugby game at the new Kansas City Stadium. It's an acronym, and I'm not remembering it right now, but it's the new Kansas City Stadium that's famous for designing the whole stadium for women's sports.
It's incredible.
I mean, for the first time, I was like, do I want to go to Kansas?
Yeah.
I actually have been to Kansas.
We should bring Clack to Kansas.
We totally should. It's
Yeah.
a great sports state.
Yeah, it sure is.
But huge moment for rugby. Team USA Women's Rugby played Canada. Record-breaking attendance. Over 10,000 people in the stadium. I mean, that just shows the energy that's building around rugby. Obviously, what Alona Mar and other players have done for the game. I am very excited to start watching women's rugby. I think I think of that sport as like you have to be a beast to play that sport.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Honestly, Alona Mar herself, just her, is why I want to watch women's rugby. And I think because she has just like taken off on social media, like we really kind of know who she is a little bit as a person. Like her story's been told, and that's just the power in storytelling, like we always talk about. And I think for me, I'm a believer in her, and I love her, and that's why I want to watch women's rugby. The fact that 10,000 people were at that stadium, just like for that, it's just so remarkable, you know, and it's just like, look how far we've come. I love that. I think she's incredible. Like, I can't wait to watch her play.
And I can't remember his name, but her Dancing with the Stars partner was at the game.
Oh, really?
And he like came and gave her a hug. It was so freaking cute.
Supportive.
Their content on social is so freaking amazing. I'm obsessed.
Same.
So like shout out to USA Rugby, women's rugby. We are so excited to tune in. The last one I wanted to talk about was Jacki and I are we've been talking to the WNFC organization, the Seattle Majestics, and really starting to dig into women's tackle football. Like that sport, again, these high contact sports where like traditionally women didn't play them. Well, guess what? They are growing at a massive rate, like have grown 50% since 2021, I believe the stat is. And the playoffs are going to be here in Portland, so we're hoping to go.
Oh, if the playoffs are in Portland, girl, there's no hoping. We are
there. We are going, yes. And just want to like give that organization a ton of flowers because obviously the NFL has been the behemoth sport, period, but also football, right? Like the biggest moneymaker, media deals, like you name it, athletes. It is the most profitable sport in the world still. Women's tackle football and flag has such a big opportunity, especially with it being a sport in LA 28 where more women are going to compete for the first time than men.
Wow.
Which, by the way, I predicted.
Amazing.
Like,
you
4
did.
months ago.
You did. I remember.
It's on our social.
Yeah.
I would just like to give myself flowers.
We can pull that clip.
Yeah.
Blooper clip.
Blooper. But I mean, this is a real turning point.
Yeah.
Real turning point. So 1900s Paris Olympics was the first time women could compete.
Wow.
And look at where we are today.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like shit. We should have gotten here way sooner, but like we're here.
Yeah.
And now it's time for women to rewrite the playbook, the storytelling, the way that we engage, the merchandise, all of it. And we, Clack, want to be at the forefront of that.
Girl, say less. Mic drop. Nothing to add.
Speaking of that, so we are going to add in a new section for these episodes where we phone in a friend. Because Jacki and I have lots of friends that don't live here. And so we do. We do. Especially Jacki. Jacki has way more friends than me. We had the pleasure of bringing on Lily Shimbashi from the Sportsish. She has co-founded this platform. Her tagline is one of my favorite taglines, which is not your boyfriend's sports news.
I love that too.
I think it's so good.
Yeah.
And I always tell her, she had a bit of a crystal ball in saying like the most undervalued fan is the female fan. And she has spent 3 years of her life building a platform that speaks to women for all sports. And so I think, we have a lot of, I always call her my kindred spirit because, while we're all about women's sports, we have a similar theory where it's like, how do we get women to invest in women? Yeah. So we are going to cut over to that clip for our first phone a friend. Ding-a-ling-a-ling. Do your phone, Jack.
Oh, sorry. Ding-a-ling-a-ling.
Welcome to Sportsish. Sports for women, by women, in a way that you actually care about.
I'm so stoked. Lily, are you there? Are you with us?
I'm here with a classic New York siren in the background. It is a paid actor to show that I am in New York City. I just like flared as you said that. But yes, I'm here.
We are so honored to have Lily Shimbashi with us today. She is the CEO and founder of the Sportish, which is honestly one of the platforms I fell in love with around sports news, or I should call it the culture of sports news. And so Lily is our first phone a friend on Clack, which is dope.
Love
It's an
that.
honor.
Lily, can you tell us a little bit about the event you just spoke at? Because it was super inspirational for me to watch that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Sports Business Journal every year puts on something called the World of Sports Congress. So, you have the league commissioners, you have team owners, a lot of executives, but the panels are surrounding what are the current issues in sports, what's the future of sports, how to make money in this crazy industry. I was asked to give a 15-minute TED Talk, is what they called it, on the power of female fans.
I was so inspired by you getting up in this room full of men and saying you are undervaluing the most important fan, which is the woman. What was the reception like? What did you learn? What were the big takeaways? And do you think anything is going to change?
I grew up in a world of constantly having to prove myself as a legitimate sports fan because I was a woman. And that's the story I started out with, right? Fourth grade, I remember very specifically this boy named Joe sat next to me, and I wore a Rangers jersey to school. And I remember Joe saying to me, well, you're not actually a Rangers fan. And I said, yes, I am. I was actually at the game this week. He said, okay, well, name 5 of their players. And all I remember was being like, okay, and naming 5 players and naming their record and probably defining multiple hockey terms because I could, but also thinking about the fact that Joe did not ask any of the boys in class to answer any questions about their Giants hats that they were wearing or their Yankee sweatshirts, and realizing like there's something wrong here. There's this prevailing assumption that I should know less about sports because I am a woman. And that doesn't sit well with me. And Joe just turned out to be a symbol of what I was to face growing up. It felt like it was a constant need to prove my own merit as a sports fan, that I knew enough to be considered valid as a sports fan. And so I used this experience to kind of kick off my speech and talk about, I think the reason why so many women didn't identify as sports fans for so long is because they were never being catered to, they were never being spoken to, they were never being seen for what they could be and what they are. Quite honestly, if we want to talk to these men, we have to talk about things that they care about, and their language is money. And women spend money, and 86% of spending is by women these days. It felt like the room woke up a little bit, like, okay, this is real. This is why we should care. This is why we should start talking to our female fans. But it was an intimidating room. It was 90% male. It's 1,200 people. I mean, we're talking Jimmy Pitaro, who's the chairman of ESPN. There's Adam Silver was there, Rob Manfred, just really, really big names within the male professional sports industry. What I was able to tell them was, hey, first of all, you haven't been engaging your female fans meaningfully. Women's sports are actually doing that right now, and that's why you're seeing a rise and a craze and a like rabid appetite. So if you want to see that type of rise and attention, like you got to take a note from them, and you've got to start engaging your female fans meaningfully. And that was really the majority of what my speech was. But you have to talk to them through money signs. But it was intimidating yet empowering. It took me about 5 seconds after like shaking a little bit on stage to look out and say, oh, they need this message, so I'm just going to drive it home.
Girl, mic freaking drop.
Yeah, for real.
Okay, I have a question for you. Were there any women leaders in sports there?
Yes. I feel like I saw a handful in the audience, and it was interesting in the way that I like clung to them and their eye contact and their smiles and their nods. That was so validating for me when I saw that they were resonating with my message and that they had been that 9-year-old girl at one point. I felt more empowered than ever to keep going.
I just find it so fascinating because we live in this world of like women's empowerment and women's sports right now. And then you like click out of that and you go into like your world where you're dealing with like men's sports and men's arenas. And it just shows you like the lack of education that exists. I can't believe that we're in 2025 and we have to even say that women spend that much money.
Right.
And drive pocketbooks and own cars and have credit cards and like it's just bonkers to me.
Did you like throw out any ideas for the audience? I'm curious.
So I tried to use examples from Sportsish. This is how we're speaking to our female fans. These are our top posts that have gotten great engagement. Sportsish is in the business of creating, but then also empowering female fans. So creating new ones, empowering old ones. But the way we create, I think the introductory level sports fan wants to know who these people are before they cheer them on. So storytelling is such a key aspect for women. I think women being emotional and sensitive is our superpower in a lot of ways. And so speaking to that superpower, that emotion, something that stirs emotion, really gets people to cheer athletes on. So I use the example of Josh Allen and that I don't really care that Josh Allen leads the Bills stats in every record ever. What I care about, why I like Josh Allen, is because he was a boy who grew up on a cotton farm and emailed every college coach in the country to give him a shot. And no one did besides Wyoming. And now he was the NFL MVP last year. So I think helping women connect through storylines is huge. So that was one idea I shared. And then I talked about merchandise and how authentic, meaningful, women-forward merchandise hasn't existed, at least. Kristen Juszczyk obviously made some waves last year with her authentic merch that came out. And then Playa Society, this brand that basically tells stories of women's sports, women athletes in their merch. And it's a really, really cool concept. And they just signed in Dick's Sporting Goods. So I showed these two women-led companies as examples of what they're doing right. So I put a picture of Esther with her work around, and I just said, like, this is how you cater to your female fans. This is the merch we want. We don't want it shrunk or pink.
There's such an undervalue in the female like silhouette and that femininity. And I'd love to see there being more choice there. Because like, sure, if you want to wear a t-shirt, that's awesome. Like if that's how you feel comfortable. But for me, I don't feel comfortable in big boxy t-shirts. Like I will 100% buy an $80 sweatshirt if I think it looks flattering. And you think about how much innovation has happened in apparel. How come we're not seeing that actually show up in the merchandise that everyday fans buy?
I felt like people understood that part of my message, that women want to spend money and you have to cater to what they want. And Kristen Juszczyk's a great example of off-season brand, licensed NFL, and like sold out very quickly. The problems that existed within the sports landscape all went back to the prevailing assumption that we were less than because we were women. We were like not as good of athletes. We were not as good of fans. And that has been so detrimental, I think, to many women feeling a part of this sports world and this fandom. And by the way, when women love something, they show up. So why wouldn't you want to speak to that very loyal, engaged demographic? And that's what I was trying to explain to them. You just need to hit them in the right way. They will do everything you're wanting a sports fan to do, which is spend money, show up, be loyal, be engaged. And it was a really great process to see wheels turning in minds as I was speaking. And hopefully it hit.
Lily, you're amazing. Thank you so much for coming on our first like phone a friend section of the podcast. And what you've done is such an inspiration to women's sports fans. And I think you're creating a model that hopefully more women will want to innovate around in the future.
Yeah, Lily, thank you so much. You're amazing. I think you're so unique. I've never met anyone like you two. You guys are just like different specimens in my life, but I appreciate you guys and your perspective. And keep shining and keep doing what you're doing because like athletes and sports need like more people like you guys.
Thank you so much. This was so fun.
Welcome to Sportsish. Sports for women, by women, in a way that you actually care about.
God, Lily's the frickin' best, isn't she?
Lily is amazing. I love like the way she speaks. I feel like she speaks so eloquently. She's so powerful. She's so like adorable. Like there's just so many factors that I love about her, and I think that she just has such a unique point of view. And honestly, like for me, when I talk to her, she reminds me a lot about a lot of you too. You guys have just like unique point of views, and I think you guys both want the same things, and I mean I want the same things too. I just think that we need more women like you two fighting for the narrative that we are here telling every single day. Yeah, so what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think often, like, if you weren't a professional athlete, you're not really taken seriously in this space. Like, I've had to answer many, many times, why you? Yes, I worked at Nike. Yes, I've worked in sports. But I think sometimes it feels like if you didn't live and breathe a game or more sports or went into sports journalism broadcasting, it's like, why do you feel like you can talk about it?
Yeah.
And I think that's the stereotype we all are trying to break.
Yeah, for sure. And you and Lily are two people that could really actually break that stereotype for all of us. You guys are amazing.
We'll see.
She's hella dope. Love her.
I know. So, Lily, thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
we
thank you
respect
so much,
you.
Lily.
The sport is absolutely amazing. We're going to wrap up with our favorite sections, everybody's favorite sections. Well, maybe not
Hopefully.
everybody's, but our favorite sections, which is our air balls and slam dunks of the week.
Woo! Well,
That was an
that
air
was
ball.
a shot. Okay, that could have been an air ball. That's
was
true.
an air ball.
Okay, that would have been like a dunk.
Dunk. Okay. I love it. See? Learning new things every day. Let's start with you, Jack. Let's start with a slam dunk.
Let's do it. I mean, I've already talked about it, but obviously my slam dunk has to be my wedding. It was an actual slam dunk of a wedding. And I can just tie my air ball quickly into that. Air ball is the wedding blues. Like, so sad that the wedding is over and it just went by so fast, but I did enjoy every single second of it. I'm just really sad that it's over, and I'm like, Carla, let's get married again in like 5 years.
I love that. Renew our vows.
I know, why not, right?
Oh my God.
I'm
yes.
just kidding. We're not doing that. But
No, yeah, it's so expensive, but
Yeah.
we can. You know what? You're gonna live through it. You're gonna have those memories. We're gonna watch your videos on repeat. I'm gonna watch the video of Linda and I dropping it on the dance floor.
I'm gonna keep posting videos because I know my timeline has been fully flooded with wedding content. Guess what? Don't care if you don't like it. Don't watch it.
Watch it. It's so good.
Yeah, I mean, I would say watch it. What are your slam dunks and air balls?
I think my slam dunk, and I'm gonna take a moment where I'm not gonna be humble. We have grown this platform
Speak.
so much.
Yep.
In the last 30 days, our Instagram page reached 3 million views. And it is so hard to build a media platform. It is so hard, not just a media platform, but a podcast, both of those things. And I'm so proud of where we are in our brand. Little teaser, we are going to be introducing a new logo and some fresh look for Clack that's like feels just a level up, that really celebrates this mission that we're on to tell you all that you're more than your sport. That sport is a big part of you, but you're more than that. And that's how I think we're going to get more women to want to love and care about the game and keep their kids in sports and just the amazing snowball effect that can have. So I just want to give us major flowers for that, and our YouTube page growing really fast. And you know, I don't often take credit for what I do because women often we brush it off and we're like, but I'm going to say like, I'm a fucking badass. We're fucking badasses for getting this done and building this with no budget, and a lot of heart, and just, you know, really building something in a time when it's very hard to build something.
Preach, Lauren. That is something you should speak on every chance you get.
Well, thanks, girl. So super proud, and thank you to you all for being part of this journey because we wouldn't be here without you.
Yep, 100%.
My air ball is like kind of gross, but I'm just gonna say it because I'm an open book. This last week was really tough on me health-wise. I got sick, felt like shit, didn't sleep. My dog is really old. He's like, you guys, I've had him since college, and I'm cleaning up poop and pee every day. I'm like, I thought I was done with this with my kids. And it's so hard to see our pets age. Like, I'm devastated by it. I might start crying if I keep talking about it. So I was up all night with him, which made it worse. And I got the worst UTI I've had. Girl.
You said it.
Girl.
You said it.
I said it.
We had a whole conversation about UTIs and, like, what they actually are because I didn't know. And, like, how people get them and all the things.
It is, you guys, the only other time I've had a UTI, I was on a plane to New York for a media event.
I'm actually shocked you said it out
Really?
loud. But I'm here for it.
You know what? People in this world pretend women's health doesn't exist, pretend periods don't exist, people think we don't sweat, that we don't poop, all those things. Guess what? We're fucking humans, okay? Like, sorry, it's the truth.
Girl, yeah,
Like,
preach.
I'm sorry, it's the truth. Like, I can look glamorous and still have health issues. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, that is true. I'm currently going through a cycle right now, and I am unwell.
But you know what? Like, the women's health, again, we're going to talk about it a lot in season 2, right? And, like, that is part of the women's experience. So I had all of those things on the day we had our first interview.
Yeah.
And I told our creative team, I was like, I will have to be dead not to show up to this interview. And I did it. So, like, that's my airball of the week. It's gross as fuck. But you know what, y'all?
It's
if you're
honest,
here,
it's
you're
real.
with us. So.
Yeah. It's real. I'm here for it. I love you for that. I think let the world know.
Let the world
know. You
know.
had some issues, and you came out on top.
I did.
You were still amazing.
But let me end by saying, when you are a mother and you're raising kids and you have a husband like I do who's a trauma surgeon who's so busy, you aren't allowed to get sick.
Right.
Because when you do, everything falls apart. And it feels that way. So, like, normally I could really push through it, but this week really tried my ass.
I hear you.
And I was like, I am not impenetrable. I am not a god. I'm a real human being with real needs, and I need to, like, take care of myself.
Yeah.
So, ladies, take care of yourself.
Yep.
Okay? Take it from someone who doesn't. Take care of yourself.
Girl, so freaking good. That was awesome.
Anyways, we love you guys. We'll see you next week for our next guest
We love
interview.
you so much. Can't wait for the next one.
Bye.